Then came the 1966 military coup, and with it, chaos. The government collapsed. A counter coup followed, and then the massacres began. Tens of thousands of Igbos living in the north were hunted, slaughtered in the streets, men dragged from buses and hacked to death, women raped in markets, children murdered before their mothers' eyes. The trains back east ran full, not with goods but with bodies, and the Nigerian state looked away. So the East made a choice on May 30th, 1967. Welcome to Omar's Story Nook, where history gets spicy, legends get a remix, and imagination runs wild. Every tale you hear is a whisper of Omar, echoing across time, culture, and the soul. This one begins with silence, a silence that followed the roar of bombs, a silence that swallowed the cries of children, a silence so loud the world could pretend it heard nothing at all. In 1967, Nigeria cracked open, and from its fractured chest, the eastern region declared itself free. Biafra, a name whispered in Igbo homes, a name born from survival, pride, and the blood of betrayal. It was not just a flag or a border, it was a prayer wrapped in a people, a chance to be safe, to be seen, to live without fear of slaughter. But dreams are fragile when oil lies beneath your soil and power fears your voice. So came the war, and with it, famine. With it, heartbreak. With it, children whose ribs outnumbered their years. With it, the silence of the world watching, hands tied by politics, hearts dulled by distance. Biafra lasted only 30 months, but those 30 months wrote an anthem in ash and courage. And even today, the name stirs fire in the bellies of a people who remember not just what was lost, but what was dead. This is the story of Biafra, the war of hunger, hope, and heartbreak. Nigeria was barely a child of independence, freshly caught from the claws of colonial rule in 1960, still wearing the seams of Britain's divide and rule. A nation of many tongues, many tribes, but not yet one people. And beneath the thin surface of unity, grievance festered. The Igbo in the East, enterprising, educated, ambitious, were envied, resented. Then came the 1966 military coup, and with it, chaos. The government collapsed. A counter coup followed, and then the massacres began. Tens of thousands of Igbos living in the north were hunted, slaughtered in the streets, men dragged from buses and hacked to death, women raped in markets, children murdered before their mothers' eyes. The trains back east ran full, not with goods but with bodies, and the Nigerian state looked away. So the East made a choice on May 30th, 1967. A radio broadcast cut across the nation. Lieutenant Colonel Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu stood before the world and declared, "We are now the Republic of Biafra." People danced in the streets of Enugu. Mothers wept with relief. Children sang new anthems. The sun on the rising flag, red, black, green, with a golden half sun, shone with possibility. But Nigeria did not clap. It answered with tanks, with bombs, with a vow: "We will bring you back by force." And so, a country was born into war. The world said Biafra wouldn't last a week, but Biafra did not crumble. It burned, bright, loud, and defiant. They were outnumbered, outgunned, cut off, but the people of Biafra refused to kneel. The streets of Enugu filled with volunteers. Teenagers in flip-flops joined militias. Farmers became soldiers overnight. They called themselves lions, and they fought like it. Engineers set up underground labs. They built bombs in basements from scrap metal and science textbooks. They called it the Biafran ingenuity. Fuel was scarce. Children learned to distill gasoline from palm oil. Hospitals collapsed. Doctors stitched wounds by lantern light. Art was weaponized. Painters sketched defiance on walls. Poets wrote verses that soldiers recited before battle. Radio Biafra broadcasted hope to enemy static. But Nigeria had more than numbers. It had allies. Britain supplied the planes. The Soviet Union sent weapons. Egypt lent pilots. Foreign interests had no love for Biafra, but much love for Nigeria's oil. So bombs fell on cities, on markets, on maternity clinics, and slowly the fire spread from the battlefield to the farms, to the villages, to the kitchens. The lines stretched, the supplies shrank, and the land, once green with cassava, yam, and mango, turned red with flame and grey with ash. Still, Biafra did not surrender. Every bullet they lacked, they replaced with belief. Every inch of lost ground was mourned like a family member. But even lions cannot fight on empty stomachs. And soon, the bombs gave way to something worse. Hunger. When the guns didn't break Biafra, they turned to hunger. The Nigerian military sealed the borders. No food in, no medicine, no aid. Relief planes from the Red Cross were denied airspace. Hospitals ran dry. Rice bags spoiled on blocked tarmacs. And inside Biafra, people began to disappear, not in gunfire, but in slow, hollow breaths. Children's bellies swelled, not from nourishment, but from starvation. Their hair turned orange, bones poked through skin. Their laughter stopped. Mothers boiled leaves and bark, mixed dirt with water to form paste, hoping to trick their babies' hunger. Some children stopped crying. Too weak, too tired, too empty. The world saw the pictures. Black and white snapshots of dying toddlers on the front pages of European and American newspapers. Aid workers shouted, journalists wept, churches held emergency fundraisers. But governments debated, and while they debated, babies died. 2 million people, mostly civilians, mostly children, were lost. Not from bullets, not from disease, but from deliberate starvation. And still, the people sang. They whispered prayers at dusk. They shared scraps with neighbors. In some villages, a single meal was passed from family to family until it vanished. But the spirit didn't vanish. You cannot starve out faith. You cannot blockade the soul. And even as the world turned away, Biafra whispered, we are still here. January 15th, 1970, the war was over. The Republic of Biafra, just 30 months old, ceased to exist. General Philip Effiong surrendered on behalf of a broken land. Starving civilians lined roads, armies laid down rifles, and the Biafran flag was folded and carried away like the body of a fallen child. Nigeria promised no victor, no vanquished. But the scars told another story. The homes lost, the songs silenced, the mass graves, the names never written down. And yet, the people endured. Biafra did not vanish. It transformed. It settled into the bones of a generation, into lullabies sung by mothers who buried their sons, into Igbo proverbs whispered around ancestral fire, into the tear that forms each time the anthem plays in hushed remembrance. Today, the word Biafra still stirs fire, not just among the old, but the young, who were not there to see it yet still feel its pulse. It has become a memory, a scar, a mirror. It is the question that refuses to fade. What could we have become? Some say it was treason, others call it justice delayed. But to those who remember, it was a dream, brief, bloody, and beautiful, that dared to believe a people could be free. So when you hear the name Biafra, don't just think of war, think of hope, think of resistance. Think of a flame that refused to die. Because even when the flag was lowered, the spirit remained on board. Some nations vanished from maps. Some wars vanished from memory. But Biafra? It lives in silence, in songs, in the souls of those who still carry its name like fire. Until the next whispers of Oma, stay listening. Biafra, the war of hunger, hope, and heartbreak.